This wasn't a misstep. It wasn't clumsy or careless. When the elbow cuts high and the defender is left clutching her face, that's not an accident. That's a message. And Saxton Rivers sent it loud, but in the wrong direction. It was early, barely into the opening minutes, when Rivers barreled through with force, swinging her arm and striking Kelsey Mitchell flush in the face. Mitchell crumpled to the hardwood. Whistle, late, arena, stunned. The crowd knew what just happened. The replay confirmed it beyond doubt. But Rivers, she barely blinked. No reach out, no apology, just cold indifference. But Indiana didn't see it as just a foul. They saw it as a violation of principle. Because Kelsey Mitchell isn't just their bucket getter. She's the soul of the team, the calm in chaos, the fire that steadies everyone else. Seeing her dropped like that, it changed something, especially in Caitlin Clark. She didn't shout. She didn't throw cheap shots in return. Instead, she went surgical. The rest of the night turned personal. Clark grabbed the reins of the game, twisted its rhythm, and turned every single possession into retribution. And somewhere deep into the quarter, Saxton Rivers realized her mistake. She hadn't just fouled Mitchell, she'd awakened Clark. From the jump, both teams were full throttle. Pushing pace, zipping passes, the tempo was unforgiving. Connecticut struck first blood. Rivers found herself with a loose ball near midcourt, took off like a blur, and coasted past the Fever defense for an easy transition layup. Energy shift, Sun lead. But Indiana didn't blink. On the next play, Clark drew a trap near the sideline. She pivoted like a chess master under pressure and fired a bullet pass to Natasha Howard, who had slipped inside perfectly. Howard rose and finished clean. Trap broken. Connecticut fired back. Tina Charles got the ball after setting a screen and floated into space. Off balance on one leg, she still lofted a jumper that dropped straight through. The form was awkward, but the touch, pure. Indiana remained locked in. Clark went back to Howard, this time deeper in the paint. With the defense slow to rotate, Howard spun, pivoted, and banked it in with power. The Fever were settling in, spacing the floor, executing like clockwork. And then Caitlin decided to take over. She isolated at the top, hit a quick hesitation, then exploded to her right and slashed through the defense, finishing the layup through contact like it was a drill. Seconds later, she orchestrated again, holding up top, waiting, then rifling a perfect pass to Lexi Hull, who had cut from the far side. Hull gathered and calmly sank a smooth fadeaway near the rim. The Fever were humming. Then came the moment that sent Indiana's bench into a frenzy. Clark snatched a rebound and immediately went into quarterback mode. Before even crossing half court, she launched a full-court missile, laser precise, to Hall on the wing. Hall caught, squared, and buried the three. The bench erupted, but the Sun weren't folding. They responded with defense. After stopping Indiana, they picked Clark's dribble clean and sprinted in transition. Rivers led the break and dished to Charles for an uncontested layup. Connecticut stuck with the post attack. Off an entry feed, Charles sealed her defender and scored again from close. The Sun were trading punches, but Indiana struck the final blow of the quarter. Arie McDonald came off a handoff, attacked downhill, absorbed contact, and earned her way to the line. Ice cold, she sank both. Fever, 29th. Sun, 28th. Second quarter, still turbocharged. The Fever came out racing. Clark sniffed out a lazy cross-court pass, leapt the lane, and took off in transition. Just before the finish, Sheldon sprinted in and made contact. Clark headed to the line, split the pair, and extended the lead. Then Mitchell returned, shaking off the earlier hit and going to work. She burned her defender on a backdoor cut. Even with the pass tipped, she stayed calm, recovered the loose ball, and scored through contact. That was veteran poised. She wasn't done. Next time down, Mitchell took a handoff, slowed the play just enough to freeze her defender, then rose for a buttery mid-range jumper. Swish, no wasted motion, pure rhythm. Then Clark got back into the act. Off a handoff, she faked a slowdown, waited for the lane to open, then darted through it. Layup good. Her reads were killing the Sun. Connecticut was constantly a step behind, but Bria Hartley wasn't about to stay silent. She sized up her defender, hit an in-and-out dribble, then snapped behind the back, left her defender spinning. Hartley stepped back beyond the arc and fired. Nothing but net. A highlight moment that reminded Indiana. This game was far from over. That shot said everything. No words needed. Then JCS Sheldon took center stage. She turned down the screen, kept the dribble alive, and as two defenders collapsed on her, she whipped a slick hook pass to Tina Charles at the free throw line. Charles set her feet, squared her shoulders, and dropped the jumper, smooth, steady, and unbothered. Hartley came back hunting. In semi-transition, she stomped on the brakes, cut behind the back again, and pulled from deep. The arc soared high, kissed the lights, and fell clean. 2 straight threes, vintage poise. Indiana needed a pulse, and Kelsey Mitchell answered. She took the ball coast to coast, broke ankles with rapid crossovers, and kissed it off the glass with her left. Control, finesse, fury, all in one move. Final possession of the half. Mitchell sliced through a closeout, drew in the help, and with no panic, zipped it to Sophie Cunningham in the corner. Wide open. No hesitation. Splash. Indiana took a 44-42 lead into the tunnel, but the real war was still waiting. The second half opened, and Connecticut came out hungry to tilt the balance. Sonia Rivers baited the defense on the wing and kicked it out to Bria Hartley. The recovery was late. Hartley let it fly. Bang! She was still scorching. Then it was Charles again. She planted deep on the block, took a step middle, felt her defender off balance and floated in a soft, one-legged hook. Glass net, no problem. Indiana answered with craft. Lexi Hull slipped off the ball and dashed into space. She spotted Natasha Howard flashing open and delivered a gorgeous behind-the-back pass in stride. Howard caught and scored like clockwork. But the Sun weren't letting go. Charles popped off a screen and calmly knocked down a mid-range jumper from just inside the arc. Every move she made screamed veteran touch. Still, the Fever's offense kept humming. Aaliyah Boston operated from the elbow, reading the floor like a guard. She paused, then found Howard cutting behind the defense. The pass was perfect. The finish, even better. Howard was now sitting at 17 points and commanding attention. Connecticut struck back with precision. From a baseline inbound, Hartley triggered the set. Lya Land curled hard around a screen, caught it mid-motion, and drilled the jumper. Perfect execution. Then came Clark. She saw an opening but didn't force it. Instead, she sensed Sophie Cunningham making a backdoor move and timed it flawlessly. The pass hit Cunningham in stride, and she laid it in with ease. The Sun wouldn't fade. Anna Maroro got the ball and burst off the dribble, flying past her defender. She powered through contact and finished strong at the rim, but Boston silenced the noise. Backing down in the post, she used patience over power. With a calm turn, she rose and knocked in a soft fadeaway. Fever back on top. As the third quarter came to a close, Indiana held tight to a 62-60 lead. Every possession was starting to feel like it mattered more than the last. The fourth quarter began with Indiana going to their bread and butter. Clark worked the pick and roll with Boston, pulling the defense higher. She slid a bounce pass into the pocket. Boston rose at the elbow and drilled the jumper. Routine but deadly. Connecticut came right back. Off a wild scramble, Allen grabbed the ball near the baseline and kicked it to Lya Land at the wing. Lon pulled the trigger, drilled the three, and drew the foul. A near 4-point play, except she missed the free throw. No matter. Next possession, Lon pushed the tempo, faked the shot, froze her defender, and coasted in for an easy layup. That gave her 15 points, a career high. Now the Sun fed off that momentum. With defenders drawn outside, Tina Charles controlled the high post and floated a beautiful lob to Anissa Maroro, who had slipped behind unnoticed. She caught and scored with ease. Indiana stayed calm. Boston muscled into deep post position and got fouled. She sank both free throws, steady as ever. Then Clark stepped up to close. She danced around a screen, froze her defender, then leaned in for a one-legged floater from just inside the paint. Bucket. Then came the break. Cunningham read the passing lane perfectly, jumped in front, and took off. She dished ahead to Clark, who absorbed contact and headed to the line. 2 shots. Both good. Next trip, Clark circled out to the top, caught a pass from Dantas, and with space, she let it go. The 3 splashed in, a dagger straight through Connecticut's hopes. Connecticut fought to hang on. Land drew a foul and cut the lead back to 5. But Indiana was now in the bonus. Every touch, every bump was costly, and when Clark was fouled again, she calmly drained both. Ice in her veins. Then she sealed it. Spotting Mitchell cutting behind the defense, Clark dropped a perfect bounce pass. Mitchell finished off the glass, and that was that. Indiana closed it out, 85-77. Not with noise, but with precision, grit, and the unshakable leadership of Caitlin Clark. One moment had sparked it all. When Rivers cracked Mitchell in the face, she thought she was sending a message. But what she really did was light the fuse. Clark didn't explode. She didn't retaliate. She responded with execution. By the final buzzer, Rivers wasn't just saddled with fouls. She was watching the scoreboard collapse, watching Clark orchestrate it all, and realizing she had picked the wrong fight.